He looked me dead in the eyes and said I had betrayed him, for not giving him another child, and when he threatened divorce, he thought I would cave. Instead, If you've ever dreamed of serving justice to someone who tried to control your life, hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle up. Because this story is about standing your ground and watching karma do its work. Before my son was born, my husband and I used to daydream about the future. He had one condition, though, one mantra he repeated so many times it became his catchphrase. It's two or none, meaning if we had kids, it had to be at least two. Non-negotiable. At the time, I agreed. In fact, I thought maybe even three would be nice. I believed him when he said we were a team, that we'd raise them together, but real life is never that simple, is it? When my son arrived, everything changed. He was perfect, tiny fists, big curious eyes, and the kind of cry that rattled my bones at 3 a.m. Suddenly, I wasn't imagining a future of 2 or 3 kids. I was surviving one long night at a time. I loved my son more than anything, but I was stretched thin, exhausted in our marriage. It wasn't thriving. Rocky arguments became normal, and the idea of bringing another baby into this chaos, it felt like setting fire to a crumbling house. Still, I hadn't closed the door completely. I thought maybe one day I'd feel differently, but when I finally told my husband that right now I was leaning toward being one and done, everything exploded. His face twisted with rage. He accused me of betrayal, of lying. He said I had planned this from the very beginning, like I had tricked him into fatherhood with false promises. Then the silence started. He shut me out, ignored me for days, barely speaking, barely acknowledging me, unless it was to throw in another jab. The unspoken demand hung in the air. Change your mind. Give me another child or else. And then came the words I never thought I'd hear. If you don't give me another, I'll divorce you. That was it. The mask had slipped. This wasn't about family or love or teamwork. This was about control, about him dictating my body, my choices, my sanity. In that moment, the heartbreak turned into something sharper. I wasn't just his wife, I was the mother of a child who needed me whole, not broken. I realized if he saw me as nothing more than a baby-making machine, then maybe divorce wasn't a threat. Maybe it was a gift. Of course, I didn't tell him that right away. I let him think he had the upper hand. I nodded. I stayed quiet. I let him stew. Meanwhile, I started planning. I spoke to a lawyer. I looked at our finances, and I learned something delicious. The custody arrangement, the house, the money. It wasn't going to look anything like the power play he imagined. If he wanted out, he was about to find out what out really looked like. He thought I'd be begging him to stay. Instead, I prepared to let him walk right into his own trap. Asterisk, one evening, after another round of silent treatment, he finally broke and said it again. I can't stay in this marriage if you won't give me another child. His voice was cold, final, but instead of tears, I looked him in the eye and said, okay, then let's divorce. The silence after that, it wasn't triumphant, it was stunned. His face drained like he hadn't expected me to call this bluff. For once he had no script, no control, asterisk, and that's when the tables turned. The divorce papers were drafted and the reality hit him. He wasn't walking away with a shiny new family to replace me. He was walking into shared custody, financial obligations, and a future where his control ended at my front door. He had gambled that his threats would keep me chained. Instead, they freed me, watching his arrogance crumble as he realized what he'd lost. That was my revenge, not through screaming, not through fighting, but through quiet, decisive action. He had demanded two or none. Well, he got none. The best part? I didn't just win my freedom, I kept my peace. My son still has me fully present, not broken down by endless demands and my ex. He's left with the bitter taste of consequences. He thought I betrayed him, but in the end, it was his own arrogance, his own refusal to listen, that betrayed himself. Revenge doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes the sweetest justice is letting someone dig their own grave and simply walking away. If this story gave you chills, mash that like button and tell me in the comments what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories where karma hits harder than anyone expects.